What's up everyone, the Mindset Lady here. Today I decided to film this video because I have heard the news about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. They almost got into an accident during the paparazzi chase, which is horrible. But this made me think of something related to our mindset, and I wanted to share with you right away. Before we dive in, I want to give description to two things. The first one is epigenetic trauma, and the second one is self-fulfilling prophecy. Epigenetic trauma means that trauma changes the chemistry of your genes, and this can be passed on to the next generations. There are proven studies, and there are studies that are hesitant. It's not 100% approved, but we see so many symptoms of that in today's world. There are so many examples, and if you subscribe to this channel, you will see more examples. Epigenetic trauma can go many generations, but usually it's 3 generations away. For me, the epigenetic trauma that was affecting me was from my grandmother's mother. So usually it's carried on by the mother's side, but it can be both father and mother, because when your mother is stressed, when she's pregnant too, then these modified genes will be passed on to you. Same way, if your father's mother was stressed and having this anxiety, then it can be passed on to you. In this video, I'm not going to go in detail about this topic, but please keep this epigenetic trauma definition somewhere in your mind. And the second one is self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy is that you're so worried about something that you want to avoid at all costs, but somehow exactly the thing that you were worrying about happens to you, as if you called it to your own life. Why does this happen to us? While I am giving the Harry and Meghan example, I will explain in detail. Now, let's dive in. According to the sources, after an award ceremony in New York, Meghan Markle and Harry got into their car, and while they were driving, they got into a paparazzi chase. While it could have ended up catastrophically, luckily, the chase ended up with a minor accident. So here is what I want to tell you today. As you know, in most of the interviews in his book, Harry talks about how it was painful and hurtful to see what his mom went through in her life, and also growing up without a mom, and the early years, the stress of Princess Diana was affecting Harry. And in every interview of his, we understand that he definitely doesn't want to have any of this in his own family. He wants to protect his children and his wife from the destiny of Princess Diana. But what happens is that in self-fulfilling prophecy, when we are worried and anxious about something too much, and we don't heal from that trauma, what happens is that we create similar scenarios, and we find ourselves in similar scenarios, and we relive this trauma. Why does this happen? Because brain works this way, unfortunately. It wants to relive the trauma so that it can heal it this time. But it actually doesn't work that way, because you are not doing anything to heal. So when you relive things, the end is also very similar. This is why so many adults who grew up in families that were suffering from domestic violence find themselves in unhappy marriages, in domestic violence cases. And they ask themselves, why am I going through the same thing again? Because your brain acts like this. I want to relive this trauma because this time I'm gonna make it. Also, it thinks like, well, I know this, I dealt with this, this is not surprising to me, I survived this. So no matter how bad it is, I know that this is my comfort zone. I know that I can handle this. But once I get out of this comfort zone, I don't know what to expect. So I'm not ready to take the leap. I cannot leave this comfort zone. So your brain automatically attracts you to the circumstances that will cause you to relive this trauma that affected you so badly. Well, why am I saying this for Harry and Meghan? Let's look at the similarities between Princess Diana and King Charles' marriage and Harry and Meghan's marriage. They both got married to unconventional partners. When you look at Lady Diana, you know, she was difficult, she was speaking her mind, she really didn't want to follow the royal family's rules in everything. She was not approving everything that royal family was telling her to do. And when you see Meghan Markle, we see almost the same pattern. And also we see two kids, right? Lady Diana had two kids, and Harry and Meghan have right now, for now, two kids. Both Lady Diana and Harry and Meghan too, they do so many donations to charities, they do so many talks for charities, they dedicated their life almost to these charity events. Both Lady Diana and Harry and Meghan gave shocking interviews. They give like shocking information in the books, right? So this was also very difficult for the royal family of England. And now what we see is a paparazzi car chase. This is getting so dangerous, guys. I think Harry and Meghan needs to do something about this, because it is almost becoming a reality, relived again. I know that Harry doesn't want this. I don't know Meghan Markle, but Harry made a point that he doesn't want this for his family. But I feel like he's finding himself in a cycle that is repeating itself over and over again, and he's reliving what his mom went through. Today, like, so many planes. Where else do we see this self-fulfilling prophecy? If you remember, Queen Elizabeth's father, King George VI, came into power because King Edward was abdicated. And the reason he left the throne was because he wanted to marry a woman who was already divorced, and this was against the rules of Church of England. And this is why he couldn't become the king. And this big trauma, the big shame on the family stayed there, and it wasn't healed. The wound was never healed. Nobody worked on that. Everybody tried to ignore it. They tried to cover it. They wanted to forget it. But what happened? As you all know, King Charles got divorced from Lady Diana, and he remarried to a woman who was divorced already, and now he is the king. In this case, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you might say that, well, AJ, apparently it worked, but it wasn't easy. And if this is not dealt with, then what's going to happen? That history is going to repeat itself. I'm not saying Prince William will get divorced from Kate and then he will remarry to someone who was divorced. I'm not saying this, but it can repeat with William's children or even their children, and it can even happen to Harry. I don't know. What I know is, if we don't deal with this trauma that we have, then it's going to try to happen over and over again. What do you think about this, guys? Do you believe in self-fulfilling prophecy? And has this ever happened to you? And how did you heal from it? Another self-fulfilling example that I can think of is that you're so worried about losing somebody or breaking up with somebody that you become so anxious, and that kind of reflects to your daily life, daily choices, and in the end, your partner starts to avoid you or become distant to you because he cannot handle this anymore. And suddenly your mind works this way. See, it's happening. I knew it. He's gonna break up with me, and I knew this was coming. You kind of make yourself believe that this was supposed to happen anyway, and then your relationship ends. But technically, you sabotaged yourself, and you created this disdain and all these problems, and the breakup was because of the way you were thinking, the cycle that you went into. If we break away from this trauma and we heal, what happens that this reflects to our life choices, our partner choices, even the city we live in, the friends that we find, and this is why it doesn't become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You break the chain of epigenetic trauma, if there is any. I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.